is faced with you. This spring of 2020, the Ministry of Government Relations has met regularly with local leaders and officials. An opportunity to share information from the Ministry of Health or Public Safety Agency regarding the pandemic and the provincial's response. But even more importantly, I have found on those calls is the feedback that I get from community leaders talking about the challenges they're facing within their communities and the challenges that their citizens are facing. It is trying times. To that end, the Ministry of Government Relations has continued to accelerate key investments in your communities. Last year, $535,000 from the Northern Municipal Trust account was used to help support northern communities. Specifically, the northern village of La Loche received $20,000 to support public safety, food security, educational initiatives, and communities to encourage physical distancing and self-isolation for its residents. In April, $350,000 was provided to New North to help establish staff and maintain community checkpoints to reduce those efforts. In May, a new Municipal Economic Enhancement Program, better known as MEEP 2020, was announced with $150 million of provincial funding available. I know the Premier talked about that yesterday in his remarks. This is to help create jobs in our hometowns and to improve quality of life through shovel-ready infrastructure projects and other initiatives in Saskatchewan's municipalities. I understand that about 99% of that investment has flowed. For example, in December, the town of Maple Creek opened the doors to a new community fire hall, a construction project funded in part with just close to $300,000 of provincial MEEP funding. Or the village of Medham used more than $4,300 of its MEEP funding to finish renovations to a building that houses a library. I could go on for the rest of my time to talk about the many different projects that MEEP funding has contributed to, but save it to say it was a great program that allowed municipalities to put money to the projects they wanted to see. Meanwhile, more than $62 million of federal gas tax funding for municipalities administered by the province was accelerated in the summer, which can also be used for local infrastructure programs to improve communities. September 2020 saw the Ministry of Government Relations distribute more than $70 million under the federal Safe Restart Canada program to municipalities, which can be used to support efforts to protect health and safety. Project applications also closed in October, on October 30th, for the one-time COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure System Stream Infrastructure Program in Saskatchewan, better known as ISIP. I want to thank all those communities and eligible organizations who put forward consideration. Since that application window closed, Ministry of Government Relations officials have been reviewing those submissions, projects, proposals as quickly as possible. The review is now complete. The Government of Saskatchewan will now be recommending consideration under this investment stream. These recommended projects in Saskatchewan represent about 20 points. Unfortunately, there's always more projects than there are dollars for. But the nice part is that the ISIP program carries on well. We look forward to hearing and working with the federal government on this file so that these recommended projects for Saskatchewan can move forward to help create jobs, improve quality of life, and literally help build a better province. Applicants will be informed as to the status of their project in due course. Overall, ISIP will provide more than $896 million in federal funding for all types of Saskatchewan infrastructure projects over a decade over the next decade or until 2028. A landfill decommissioning initiative under the ISIP Green Stream remains open and is currently accepting project applications. Additional intake under the ISIP will occur in the future. However, we have an update about the program and I'd like to share. Today, I'm pleased to announce provincial funding for several projects under this program. More than $6.9 million of provincial funding will help these 30 infrastructure projects become a reality. They will improve the quality of life across Saskatchewan. These projects will benefit various communities by creating jobs, leading up to and during construction, along with improving local road networks, water and wastewater systems, recreation facilities, and protecting the environment once completed. Also in response to the pandemic, last year, the province fast-tracked municipal revenue sharing, a record $278 million directly to municipalities. This year, I'm happy to announce that the amount will be just shy at $275 million in 2021, still the second highest amount ever distributed through municipal revenue sharing. Thanks to this program's reliable, stable, and predictable formula based on 0.75% of the provincial sales tax revenue from 2 years prior, the program is introduced. And it was talked a lot at the time that the reliable funding was so very important. Through the good times and the bad, I know I've been already lobbied by many municipalities, which has gone up over the last couple of years, and we'll see what happens with this pandemic and the impact that it has on the PST. This provincial funding can be invested as municipalities see fit. And although municipal revenue sharing grants continue to have no strings attached in how they are spent, just a quick reminder, eligibility requirements to receive this funding are now put in place and will be fully implemented. This step is to support municipalities in consistently providing citizens with transparent and strong governance. Thank you to all the municipalities which have already completed their declaration forms about eligibility requirements. As in previous years, $1.5 million from the total amount of municipal revenue sharing will be invested in the Targeted Sector Support Initiative. This initiative provides provincial funding to support municipal projects focused on such areas as capacity building, good governance, and regional cooperation. Successful project applications with province funding up to 75%. A second round of projects applications are being accepted until March the 5th, saskatchewan.ca for details. This initiative is supported by representatives from the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association, the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities, and the New North. And I want to thank these members for their ongoing efforts. After all, communities working together as from other levels of government. Your leadership in reaching out to your neighbors, rural and urban, Indigenous communities is extremely important. And I want to commend those municipalities that have taken steps and continue to do so in terms of reconciliation. I also recognize the partnerships that have been built and the collaboration that has occurred to bring about the nearly 60 urban reserves in municipalities across this province. And for those here to please be successful. So working together is extremely important. Which brings me to just one thing, just off script. I just want to touch on regarding the Saskatchewan Municipalities Association, Urban Municipalities, or Municipalities of Saskatchewan, the name change. And I would just say that from my perspective and what I've been hearing over and over again from both urban and rural, but in particularly rural, some of the concerns that have been raised by both rural municipalities and their representative organization, SARM. And it certainly has caused, some concern and some frustration in the name change. I've asked our MLAs to do some work and hear what they're hearing from their local municipalities. And I could say that and so I would ask that SUMA, or the Municipalities of Saskatchewan, reconsider the rebranding or the name change that they have put forward. Before I go, I want to highlight SARM, SUMA, and the Urban Municipality Association, Administrators Association of Saskatchewan, and the Rural Municipal Administrators Association of Saskatchewan. This network of seasoned administrators and elected officials can provide advice to peers to help resolve complex issues of conflict. Whether you're new to local government or a veteran public servant, some help and advice is available if needed. Just visit saspeersnetwork.org. Municipalities Today is also an important resource. This online newsletter has recently provided details about updated training for members and secretaries of boards of revision, which is key during a reevaluation year, along with how to use the 10-minute training series designed to help councillors work together more efficiently, uses hypothetical examples they might face in their role. The newsletter contains information about the changes to legislation and regulations important to municipalities. To keep an eye out for the updates about the Construction Code Act, or CCA for short, which is new legislation introduced before Christmas that will replace the Uniform Building and Accessibility Standards Act. When passed, the new CCA will support a better quality of life for Saskatchewan people, as it will help our government develop updated regulations specific to construction standards and building accessibility for people with disabilities. It will also allow the adoption of modern standards for energy efficiency and building construction, supporting the objectives of prairie resilience, one of the goals within Saskatchewan's growth plan. Published by the Ministry of Government Relations, I encourage each and every one of you to have a look. Before I conclude, I just want to thank you and congratulations. First, thank you to Gordon Barnhart. Not only have you served our country as Clerk of the Senate, our province as Clerk of the Legislative Assembly, and the Lieutenant Governor, but you continue to serve your community of Saltcoats. Thank you so much for your commitment, not only nationally, provincially, but locally. I'd also like to congratulate Roger Hayward, the incoming president of this organization. Your experience of more than 2 decades serving on the council of the town of Nacum and 2 terms as SUMA's vice president of towns will serve you well in your new role, and I look forward to working with you. In closing, thank you for the invitation for me to join you. Because of the dedication of our local leaders, along with the unwavering character and resilience of Saskatchewan people, our great province will remain strong. Together, we will overcome this pandemic and continue to build a better Saskatchewan for 2021 and the decades ahead. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your convention.
Thank you, Minister McMorris. On behalf of Municipalities of Saskatchewan's board and our hundreds of members, I thank you for your time. Municipalities of Saskatchewan has been working hard to ensure that municipalities have a seat at the table when other orders of government are making decisions that impact our hometowns. Having a seat at the table includes having an open dialogue. Before convention, we asked you to submit questions for the Honorable Miriam Monsef, Federal Minister of Rural Economic Development. It is now my pleasure to introduce Minister Monsef, who will provide answers to your submitted questions.
My name is Pat Jackson. I am the mayor of the town of Kipling, and I am the Southeast Regional Director for Municipalities of Saskatchewan. It is my pleasure to facilitate the Fireside Chat with our Federal Minister of Rural Economic Development, the Honorable Miriam Monsef. Minister Monsef is also Minister for Women and Gender Equality. Minister Monsef, thank you so much for joining me to answer questions that are important to Saskatchewan's hometowns.
Well, thank you for having me, Madam Mayor. It is so good to be with you all, even if it is virtually.
To begin, please tell us about your role as Minister of Rural Economic Development and how the Government of Canada is supporting Saskatchewan's hometowns.
Well, first and foremost, I want to let you know that this Ontario MP comes from a rural urban riding. I'm on Mississauga territory, the home of the Anishinaabe peoples. And first and foremost, I see our own municipal leaders here. You're on the front lines of everything with much less capacity. And I thank every municipal leader and their families for what you're giving to Canada, for what you're giving Saskatchewan in this very difficult moment, to the first responders and the essential workers who are keeping it all together. Thank you. My job as a federal minister and as an MP right now, first and foremost, is to work with every government department and partners across the country to ensure that COVID is behind us soon, and to support Canadians, including those in smaller communities, with the supports they need to get through this difficult time. So from income supports to vaccine rollout, that's the number one priority. With rural economic development, of course, my job at the moment is to support the application of a rural lens to every decision that the Government of Canada is making, particularly in response to COVID, and to roll out infrastructure funds, including the Universal Broadband Fund.
Thank you, Minister. Our next question also relates to support. The question is, our small community recognizes a need for strategic planning as we look forward to future development. Is there someone in your ministry who could help our municipality plan for economic growth, teach us the implications of a pan-Canadian childcare system, and help us understand how to encourage the building of housing that is affordable and meets the needs of our current residents and the people who work in our town, but who cannot find housing?
You're making me smile, Pat, because you're talking about all the things that I and so many of us are deeply passionate about. The short answer is yes, absolutely. And it's not just within my own team where we've brought back the Rural Economic Development Secretariat, but across our entire government. There are people in infrastructure. Saskatchewan has $646 million in unspent infrastructure money, and you can reach out to us at the Department of Infrastructure or my own team to get more information about that. Within the Universal Broadband Fund, we've set up a concierge service as per the request of municipal leaders like those in Saskatchewan who told us we need more capacity and support to navigate all the different ways that these government programs can be implemented in our own smaller communities. So you pick up the phone, you call the Universal Broadband Fund, a really smart engineer picks up the phone on behalf of the Government of Canada and helps navigate the process, soup to nuts, of getting your communities connected to high-speed internet. there are, I recognize that particularly since the Honorable Ralph Goodale is no longer representing Saskatchewan in Ottawa, that folks may be feeling a little less secure. Ralph is a force, and I can tell you, this junior minister, I've been in cabinet for 6 years, but I learned a lot from Ralph. Know that we've got your back. There are actually in rural communities, we have more in common with each other than we do with the nearest urban centers to us. For example, a small community in Saskatchewan, I am sure, say Moose Jaw, has more in common with a smaller community here in Ontario than it does with Saskatoon in some ways. And so if you're feeling isolated, particularly because of COVID, particularly because of all the ways that life has become harder, know that every single day in every single department, our teams are thinking about you. We've got your back, and we invite you to reach out to us.
Thank you very much. And this does relate directly. In Saskatchewan, our cities, towns, villages, resort villages, and northern municipalities are considered urban municipalities. But the federal government's definition of urban is different, with many of our hometowns being considered rural. When you speak about rural programming for Canadian municipalities, could you please define what is considered rural?
That is an excellent question. And I can tell you the topic of discussion at many rural caucus meetings, particularly in our first year in government back in 2015. There is rural, there is really rural, there is remote, there is really remote, and of course, there is urban adjacent ridings, communities like my own, where there is a mix of both. For the purposes of the carve out that rural and northern communities receive through our agreements with the government of Saskatchewan, these are communities that can have fewer than 30,000 people. Some can have fewer than 5,000 people. And this issue of being able to operationally define what rural means was really important for us, particularly because we heard in the early days of infrastructure agreements that, you know, the number of people using a road would not be a solid indicator for rurality in infrastructure plans, that there had to be a carve out for communities that don't see that much traffic on roads, but actually own more of that infrastructure and need the federal support that much more. So we are applying, as I said, a rural lens to every government decision. And one of the main reasons for that rural lens is to ensure that inadvertently, smaller communities do not get left behind, that there's a carve out for them in specific programs so that not only can they better respond to challenges, but they can also better optimize for the things that smaller communities have going for them, like quality of life and culture.
Thank you very much. As you know, municipal governments have unique expertise. They understand local needs and how to meet them. How is the Government of Canada engaging Western Canada, particularly Saskatchewan businesses and municipal governments, to help promote economic development?
Excellent question. I actually ran for mayor before I ran for MP. So municipal politics has a very special place in my heart, and I have a lot of respect for those of you who put your names on a ballot and serve people whose realities are in your face every day. I draw inspiration from that. For us, opportunities to connect at forums like this, for me, that's really important, especially during COVID when I can't come and visit as I did over the past 6 years. This is an opportunity for me as an MP, as a Canadian, and as the minister responsible for women and rural economic development to let hardworking leaders like you know that I am here for you and reach out to us. in addition to that, in addition to the regular connections that each of us ministers have with communities and try to do our best with, there's also, we have a Western and Prairies representative in cabinet with the Honorable Jim Carr. He's a very strong voice. More than that, though, there's a Rural Economic Development Advisory Body that I convene. We've had a couple of really good meetings over the past few months where they are the eyes and ears of small municipalities and small communities, and they help us better respond with the Universal Broadband Fund, as I said, which is a highly in demand program already. It only launched back in November, but there is an opportunity there to dig deep with the capacity challenges, particularly that rural communities have, and answer questions one-on-one with smart, thoughtful professionals who understand and who care. And maybe the last part, Pat, and this is a little bit nerdy, but really, really important. What I've learned is that what is measured gets done. And so after a really long time, we brought back data on rural communities, on rural businesses. StatsCan is going back to ensuring that we are collecting that information. And having that data allows us to see what happens in rural communities as a result, for example, of our business supports, and mitigate for changes and challenges as need be.
The federal government has committed to connect all Canadians to broadband by 2030. Why do some communities have to wait until 2030 to be connected? Won't this delay have negative impacts on the economic development and sustainability of communities? And I'm going to throw just a tiny bit in that's very personal. We happen to live in southern Saskatchewan and have got good internet access. But many of our compatriots in the north may or may not be able to even access the convention next week.
On the convention, I want to thank the very thoughtful people, the creative, hardworking people who found a way to bring us all together. These connections, particularly right now, are really, really important. And to those who don't have high-speed internet and or cell service, like those here in my own community, life without internet in the best of times was hard. Life during COVID, with the lockdown measures, with the travel restrictions, being away from your loved ones, having to pivot to online work if you can, with the kids doing online learning if they can, it's a whole other ball game. So for those who don't have access to high speed internet, life is hard right now and frustrations are real. There are folks in my own community who ask that same question. Our timelines for connectivity are, as soon as possible. We have a rapid response stream of $150 million where the government of Canada will support, 70 to 90% of the cost of these projects that can be done this year. Last year, before year end, we were able to connect
Welcome back.
My name is Pat Jackson. I am
One of the things that's
My name is Pat Jackson.
the in-demand program already. It only launched back in November, but there is an opportunity there to dig deep with the capacity challenges, particularly that rural communities have, and answer questions one-on-one with smart, thoughtful professionals who understand and who care. And maybe the last part, Pat, and this is a little bit nerdy, but really, really important. What I've learned is that what is measured gets done. And so, after a really long time, we brought back data on rural communities, on rural businesses. StatsCan is going back to ensuring that we are collecting that information. And having that data allows us to see what happens in rural communities as a result, for example, of our business supports and mitigate for changes and challenges as need be.
The federal government has committed to connect all Canadians to broadband by 2030. Why do some communities have to wait until 2030 to be connected? Won't this delay have negative impacts on the economic development and sustainability of communities? And I'm going to throw just a tiny bit in that's a very personal. We happen to live in southern Saskatchewan and have got good internet access. But many of our compatriots in the north may or may not be able to even access the convention next week.
On the convention, I want to thank the very thoughtful people, the creative, hardworking people who found a way to bring us all together. These connections, particularly right now, are really, really important. And to those who don't have high-speed internet and or cell service, like those here in my own community, life without internet in the best of times was hard. Life during COVID, with the lockdown measures, with the travel restrictions, being away from your loved ones, having to pivot to online work if you can, with the kids doing online learning if they can, it's a whole other ball game. So for those who don't have access to high-speed internet, life is hard right now and frustrations are real. There are folks in my own community who ask that same question. Our timelines for connectivity are, as soon as possible. We have a rapid response stream of $150 million where the government of Canada will support, 70 to 90% of the cost of these projects that can be done this year. Last year, before year end, we were able to connect tens of thousands of Canadians. By the end of this year, we will connect more than of a quarter million households. And there's 2% of Canadians who we don't think will be connected right away. And those connections, the hardest to reach places, require low Earth orbit satellites as a big part of the solution. So long story short here, it's a matter of fairness. It's about health and safety and economic development. But for Canada, it's also a matter of our competitiveness on the global market, especially as the whole world has turned to online work and online learning. If there's anybody at this gathering who wants to work with the federal government to get their communities to high speed internet, Indigenous leaders, municipal leaders, provincial leaders, we are here to work with you. And my philosophy with these partnerships is to get to a yes. So reach out to us and let's make sure that this construction season, there are more Saskatchewan communities than ever getting shovels in the ground and getting connected. We've already been able to see the connection of some 45,000 households in Saskatchewan, but we're not done yet, and we'll be there with you every step of the way to get it done as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Our next two questions relate to carbon tax and carbon capture. First, with an increasing carbon tax and a province that relies heavily on using carbon to heat homes or to travel to centers for supplies without us having a robust transit system, how does this tax help Saskatchewanians advance?
Look, I've spoken to enough Canadians and Saskatchewanians over the past few years to know that you're just as concerned about climate change as anybody else in the country and around the world. It's real, and particularly to farmers and producers I've spoken with, you know, they are on the front lines of seeing firsthand the impact of climate change. When there's a drought and farmers have to consider buying water, when there are floods and, life is that much more difficult and disruptive, climate change is real and we have to address it. Pricing pollution is one of the most effective ways that all the evidence out there shows things can be done better. And the funds that come from pricing pollution, almost 100% go right back to Saskatchewan. So a tax is something that is gone and provides other goods and services for the public. Pricing pollution and the program we've put in place actually has the money going right back to individuals in Saskatchewan, and also to hospitals and to schools to become more energy efficient and save money that way. I spoke earlier about a rural lens, and I want to assure you that we are applying that lens to our enhanced climate plan, because when one part of Canada is hurting, and you know our friends and neighbors in the West, when you're hurting, the rest of Canada feels that pain, and we need you to be strong and we need you to be resilient. And so we will support you in that effort, including in our efforts to fight climate change as we fight the pandemic. One of the best ways that rural lens can be seen is, in addition to the federal government returning all the funds and proceeds collected back to Saskatchewan, we are also able to support the creation of clean green jobs that Saskatchewan and the West absolutely must be a part of. So in addition to all of that, smaller communities, residents in rural communities, we've proposed a supplementary climate action incentive where there's an additional 10% that goes directly back to Saskatchewanians in that response to climate change. So there's more money coming into households that are rural, taking into account those specific needs. If I may, Pat, because I know I went on a bit about this, but transit, look, I've seen in my own community that public transit in rural communities, the most sustainable way to go about it is to ensure that it is a regional network being built. And as I said, Saskatchewan has over $600 million sitting in the agreement that we have with the province unspent. Applications have been coming forward and we're rolling them out as quickly as possible, but building those regional public transportation hubs, particularly post-pandemic, is going to ensure the resiliency and the sustainable growth of smaller communities. So public transit is a challenge, absolutely, but there's money on the table to build the kind of systems and networks that would make life better for Saskatchewan.
What can we do to increase the realized value of carbon capture in rural Canada, and to help all Canadians understand the actions that Saskatchewan farmers, energy producers, and forests are doing to reduce carbon in our province and in Western Canada?
If if there's any silver lining to COVID, it's in some of the lessons it's taught us, right? That we are all in this together, that we are interdependent, and when one corner of the country is doing well, we all are better off. And when one corner of the country isn't doing well, either economically or because there's been an outbreak, we all feel that pain. And so COVID has absolutely taught us that we can work together, and the provincial, territorial, and federal partnerships in place. The proof is in the pudding. We recognize that Canada's oil and gas industry is a big part of Canada's success. They are, of course, responsible for some quarter of the emissions, but there is a market and there's a huge demand for clean energy, and the West, the prairies, have to be a part of it, and in so many ways are already leading. I've been talking to our minister responsible for climate change, and we all recognize that being able to um, the value of solutions like carbon capture. The more we're partners in this, the more we recognize that there are no borders when it comes to climate change or COVID, the better off we will be together. And again, I will put the invitation out there again. I think Saskatchewanians are smart. You folks have grit, and you know you've been able to withstand a lot of difficulties over the past decades and come out stronger. The Government of Canada is here as a partner, and as we build the enhanced climate plan, as we look towards stimulus spending to grow our economy again, as we look to get through COVID together and ensure everybody who wants it is vaccinated. These are tough issues, but I'm thankful for the partnerships we have with leaders like you to be able to move through these difficult and complex challenges and come out the other side stronger.
Now we have questions relating to gender equality. The first question is, in your role as Minister of Women and Gender Equality, you have highlighted how Canada needs more thriving and successful women participating in our economy to lead its growth. What would be the strategies to actualizing such an agenda for our municipalities?
I want to give a shout out to Minister Ross, your own Minister for Women, who helped drive a very hefty agenda at the most recent federal, territorial, provincial meeting of the Status of Women Ministers. We came to an agreement that first and foremost, women's safety is the foundation for economic security. And whether it's responding to missing, murdered Indigenous women and girls inquiry, or preventing all forms of gender-based violence for everyone, regardless of their geography, that this is an important starting place. Women are not going to go back to work if they are not safe at home. Women won't be able to go back to work if they feel that their kids aren't safe in their own homes. And so safety is a really big focus. In addition to that, we recognize that COVID has hit women hardest. So to the women paying attention, particularly women with children to care for, elders to care for, we recognize that disproportionately care responsibilities have fallen on you, and that it's a lot. It's almost been a year with, starting with March break and schools closing, and we still have a few more difficult months ahead of us, but we've been able to provide caregiver benefits to parents who have to stay home from work because they got to look after someone. And that was an agreement with provinces as well, which we're thankful for. The Safe Restart supports are there to ensure that our childcare facilities and our schools are able to operate safely during COVID, because parents can't go back to work if they don't have anyone to care for their kids and for their elders. All of that aside, our government's record in supporting women, it's a strong one, and it comes from the basic understanding that when women do well, families are better off, and communities are stronger. So on the other side of COVID, we are, putting together a task force of feminists and economists who can help provide the best advice possible to make sure that women recover from this she-cession. And childcare is most certainly part of that conversation. So we're looking forward to working with Saskatchewan to build an agreement, to build a childcare system, an early learning and childcare system that is universal, kind of like what Quebec has, to get thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of women back to work. And, again, an invitation's on the table. If there are municipal leaders or provincial leaders in this virtual space who want to work with us, please reach out. As I said, our philosophy is to get to a yes so that our communities can be safer and get back to work.
We have our final submitted question. We have seen some projects advancing gender equality in Canada. What should municipalities be expecting in the next fiscal year in terms of funding in this regard?
I know municipalities are making a lot of difficult decisions right now. I can tell you the federal government, Chrystia Freeland, is working very hard with pre-budget consultations with our colleague Mona Fortier. The two of them are, fanning out across the country and asking municipalities and Canadians, individuals, to go on the Government of Canada's website and fill out the questionnaire and submit what you think will help Canada respond to COVID and grow. So if municipalities and municipal leaders haven't done so already, consider putting forward a pre-budget submission before the third week of February. More information is available about that on the federal government website. And know that we got your back. 8 out of $10 spent on vaccine, on PPE, on small businesses, on individual supports, on tightening our borders, on ensuring that our schools and childcare facilities are safe. 8 out of $10 has come from the federal government. So we've got your back. And we recognize that on the other side of this, we have to grow the economy and people will need services. And the idea of cutting services is really frightening for so many right now. On the supports for women specifically, we have about $100 million that has rolled out to frontline women's organizations. Some 6 million women and children have benefited from those supports this year alone, and 1,500 organizations providing gender-based violence supports have been able to keep their doors open and keep their staff safe. In the coming weeks, we're going to be announcing an additional $100 million to support women's organizations, equity-seeking organizations, respond to COVID, and get ready for the recovery. So the Government of Canada's got your back. If you've got ideas on how to make sure women are safe, how to get them back to work, how to make sure their loved ones are cared for, reach out to us. If the province of Saskatchewan is ready to talk universal early learning and childcare, I can tell you that Chrystia Freeland is keen to talk with you. So please reach out to her. And we're in this together. On the other side of this thing, Ralph Goodale used to say, and maybe I'll wrap up with this, Pat. Ralph Goodale used to have to give all of us updates after every flood or natural disaster. And I remember the first time he gave us an update. He said, the flood itself is horrible. It shocks and displaces people, and it's a mess. But the flood itself isn't the hardest part, he would say. He would say the hardest part is after it's done, when communities have to survey the damage, roll up their sleeves, clean up, and figure out how to build back better. This thing we're all going through, this pandemic, it's a little bit like that kind of a natural disaster. We're still in the middle of it. It has been a long slog. I know people are exhausted, but we need to save some energy knowing that there's more work to be done even after vaccine has been rolled out. So to municipalities who are already on it, who are building plans on what communities will look like on the other side of the vaccine being rolled out. You know, you're ahead of the curve. We salute you and keep up the good work, because there will be a first come, first serve with some of the programs when it comes to stimulus response. So whoever's ready to go with shovels in the ground is more likely to be seen more favorably. I hope that, you know, you're not spending too much time thinking about the kind of cuts you have to make, and spending more time thinking about the kind of systems and infrastructure that you can support and strengthen over the coming years, with housing, with roads and bridges, with broadband, with green infrastructure, and with community supports. So the more ready you are with specific solutions to what would make life easier for your citizens, the easier you make our jobs. And as I said earlier, Pat, we are here to work with you. So please reach out. It's a really difficult time for anybody. It's particularly difficult for leaders like you who have so much on your plates. Let's chat, if only to commiserate, and then to figure out how to work together to make things better and easier for you.
Thank you to Minister Monsef for taking the time to answer those questions important to our hometowns. I will now turn things back over to Danny.
It's Emotion Kid Ambassador Sophia with another episode of the Desktop Olympics. Let's try a little skill I like to call pencil balancing. Now, you try. Just one finger now. No cheating. Okay, let's up the ante. Can you balance the pencil on your face? Here. Or here. Great work, everyone. Now, if you really want a challenge, try balancing your pencil vertically. That'll really impress the coworkers.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dawn Luning, and I am one of your Municipalities of Saskatchewan's directors, and I'm a city councillor with the City of Moose Jaw.
And I'm Gerald Roy, Municipalities of Saskatchewan Northern Regional Director and Councillor for the Northern Village of Isle La Crosse.
Today, Gerald and I have the distinct honor of recognizing some very deserving individuals for the contributions they have made to their communities.
Each year, we recognize individuals who have demonstrated a commitment to outstanding service in the municipal field. Though convention looks different this year, we didn't want to miss an opportunity to honor these individuals for their outstanding contributions to the development and prosperity of our communities and urban governments in Saskatchewan.
We are able to honor our award recipients today because of our generous Municipalities of Saskatchewan Service Awards sponsor, MuniCode Services Limited. We'll now see a brief message from our sponsor.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leanne Stionson, and I'm the Office Manager at MuniCode Services Limited. For those of you that have not heard of MuniCode Services prior to this presentation, MuniCode contracts to municipalities to supply building code enforcement, and we have worked in over 40 municipalities since our inception in 1994. We are currently contracted in over 70 municipalities throughout the province and always trying to expand our clientele. We have recently opened an office in Regina so we can be closer to our clients in that part of the province. In October of 2020, MuniCode Services became a strategic partner with Municipalities of Saskatchewan and Kinetic GPO. MuniCode Services has been a sponsor of the Municipalities of Saskatchewan annual convention for 20 plus years. This annual sponsorship is a way to express our gratitude to Municipalities of Saskatchewan and our clients. MuniCode has over 40 years of direct involvement in building and fire code enforcement and consultations for municipalities, governments, owners, designers, and contractors. MuniCode Services employs 5 building officials, which include a building technologist, professional engineer, and 3 full-time administration staff. All of our building officials hold a license with the Saskatchewan government to inspect all types and classes of buildings. As well, our building officials hold certificates in sprinkler system designs, inspecting and testing, and automatic fire suppression systems. The objective at Municode Services is to assist municipal and provincial governments in enforcement of the building and fire code requirements by providing plan reviews and inspection services. As well, Municode provides building and fire code consulting services to building owners, health boards, architectural and engineering firms. This work involves assessing new and existing buildings for compliance with provincial regulations and provides recommendations to achieve compliance, as well as building code assessments of provincial government-owned buildings. For more information about Municode Services, please visit our website at municodeservices.com or call our office at 306-955-6355, and we'd be happy to assist. Thank you and have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, Municode Services Limited. This year, we will present 6 Meritorious Service Awards. Meritorious Service Award is given to municipal employees who have given 20 or more years of service. The commendation reads, Meritorious Service Awards are granted to appointed municipal staff members to recognize their career services, dedication, and involvement in the local community. These award recipients are unique individuals who have become role models in their communities and who strive to improve quality of life and strengthen our local governments.
We are pleased to honor the following recipients of the Meritorious Service Award.
Calvin Barron, Town of Lemberg, 28 years. Calvin grew up in Lemberg, and after some gentle persistence from a local resident to join the Lemberg Fire Department, Calvin agreed. That was 28 years ago. Calvin continues to attend practices and live calls with the in-town department and local regional municipality. Calvin works for a local liquid fertilizer supplier and also volunteers throughout the community.
Leanne Hitchens, Town of Lemberg, 24 years. Leanne has volunteered for over 30 years in the community, starting at the local library, teaching the summer reading program and babysitting course. She has also been a part of teaching the Hunter Safety course, has served as a scout leader, and is the founder of the Get Outdoors Club. In 1997, Leanne joined the Prairie First Responders Group, serving Lemberg and area. The reason she volunteers is to give back to the community.
Glenn Michael, Town of Lemberg, 41 years. Glenn joined the Lemberg and District Fire Department in 1980. He was an active member of the Lemberg and District Fire Department for 32 years in total, 15 of those as chief. He retired from the department on December 31st, 2012, but continues to help out when needed. Glenn trained as a first responder in 1997 and continues to volunteer his time in that capacity.
Daniel Shire, Town of Lemberg, 27 years. Dan has been a member of the Lemberg Fire Department since 1994. He has been an active volunteer in the town of Lemberg for many years. His activities include sitting on the Trinity Lutheran Church Council, serving as a member of the Lemberg Interchurch Choir, acting with the adult drama group for more than 15 years, and acting as a supervisor, river guide on the Churchill River for local schools.
Brian Starkel, Town of Nipawin, 25 years. Former Fire Chief Brian Starkel joined the Goddard, Saskatchewan Fire Service in 1976, moving to the Nipawin Fire Department as Safety Officer in 1994. Brian served as Fire Chief in Nipawin from 2010 to 2019. Brian served on the Board of Directors of the Saskatchewan Association of Fire Chiefs. He is an ambassador for the Canadian Volunteer Fire Services Association and board member of the Canadian Fallen Firefighter Foundation. Brian was the 2012 recipient of the Canadian Volunteer Fire Services Association Lifetime Achievement Award.
Stacy Vick, Town of Nipawin, 20 years. Stacy enjoys the camaraderie of the fire department and takes great pride in the role he plays in keeping the residents of Nipawin safe. He is very proud that his son Jared is also a member of the Nipawin Fire Department. Jared began as a junior firefighter and has since become a full member of the department. Congratulations to all these long-serving employees.
This year, we are pleased to also present 4 honorary service awards. The Honorary Service Award is given to council members who have served 20 or more years. The award description reads, Honorary Service Awards are granted to elected officials throughout the province to recognize the long-term dedication to and involvement in their local communities. These recipients are unique individuals who demonstrate leadership in their communities and who strive for an improved quality of life and strength in our local governments. We are proud to honor the following recipients of the Honorary Service Award.
Joe Berlinger, Village of Good Soil, 21 years. Joe was first elected to council in 1988. Over the years served, he has represented the community as a board member for the Good Soil Museum, Lions Club, and the Beaver River Healthcare Foundation. As a business owner and an elected representative, Joe has been an important part of Good Soil and area for many years.
Daryl Fingus, Town of Rocanville, 29 years. Daryl was first elected to council in 1991 as a councillor and served 3 terms before accepting the nomination for mayor, a position he held from 2000 until his retirement in November 2020. Daryl constantly works on a volunteer basis to enhance quality of life in Rocanville. He is known as Mr. Skating Rink for the hours he has spent ensuring the facilities are ready for use. He also took it upon himself to repaint the town logo, Rocanville's oil can, the largest in the world, with no assistance from anyone.
Herbert McDonald, Town of Lemberg, 32 years. Not only has Herb spent 32 years on town council, including 12 as mayor and 20 as councillor, Herb has volunteered with many organizations including the Hall Board, Lemberg and District Lions Club, Lemberg Lions Branch number 069, Lemberg Pentecostal Church, and Valcara Senior Housing. A lifelong volunteer, Herb has had his wife of 53 years by his side throughout.
John Jack Purvis, Village of Good Soil, 32 years. Jack was first elected to council in 1975, having spent 15 years as councillor and 17 years as mayor. He has been a part of many projects and events in Good Soil. He is the founding member of Northwest Regional Waste Management Authority and the Beaver River Healthcare Foundation, as well as a board member for Enterprise Saskatchewan, the Regional Economic Development Authority, and the North of Divide Community Association, among countless others. Congratulations to all of our award recipients today. On behalf of municipalities of Saskatchewan and all of our hometowns, thank you all for your dedication to making your communities even better places to call home. We will now turn things back over to Danny.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations to all of those wonderful award recipients. Job well done. And now we have another special award to present, and that is the Scoop Lurie Award. And to present it, the Vice President of Towns, Roger Hayward.
Thank you, Danny. It's a pleasure to represent the board as we celebrate the latest recipient of the Scoop Lurie Award, Malcolm Eaton. It's an honor to present this award to an individual as dedicated as Malcolm. I've been on the board with Malcolm, and I watched him put so much time and effort into all the committees and boards he was on. I was truly amazed at his dedication and passion for his community. Malcolm's political career began in 2003, but he was well known throughout the city of Humboldt far before that. Malcolm spent 36 years in the school as both a teacher and a principal, and he and his wife Carol raised 5 children in Humboldt and were very involved in their activities. The move from volunteering and teaching to politics was a natural one, simply an extension of the dedication to community that Malcolm already exemplified. In 2003, he ran for council and secured a seat at the table. In 2006, he ran for mayor. Malcolm was elected and spent the next 3 consecutive terms in the mayor's seat before deciding to step down from that role in 2016. While mayor, Malcolm guided the city through a period of significant growth and development. During his first term, the city was in the process of raising capital for a new hospital. Malcolm was still in the role when Humboldt District Health Complex officially opened its doors on April 1st, 2011. There were plenty of other exciting developments for the city of Humboldt during Malcolm's tenure, from the Our Humboldt Growth Plan to the opening of the new high school and community college. The city's recreational facilities underwent a series of improvements to ensure their continued usage for the next several generations. The city's art gallery received a municipal award, as well showcasing the importance Malcolm and his counselors placed on arts and recreation to help make Humboldt an even better place to live, play, and work. Malcolm is a firm believer in teamwork and the importance of working together for the common good, values he brought to his time on both the municipalities of Saskatchewan, then known as SUMA, and Federation of Canadian Municipalities. During his time on the Municipalities of Saskatchewan Board, Malcolm served as both the chair of the City Mayor's Caucus and Vice President of Cities. Malcolm was the CMC chair during the time period when SUMA's advocating led to the government introducing the revenue sharing program, which continues to benefit Saskatchewan municipalities today. He was also involved in the creation of the Advocacy Fund, helping Saskatchewan's hometowns move ahead with additional research and projects. Also on a provincial level, Malcolm was a founding member of the Prairie Innovation Enterprise Region and served as chairman of PEER in its early formation. When the Enterprise Region system ended, the city of Humboldt was pleased to join the newly formed Mid-Sask Municipal Alliance, a regional municipal planning and economic development partnership. Malcolm served as a City of Humboldt representative on that board for 4 years. Although Malcolm has retired from politics, it's not surprising to learn that he is still heavily involved in volunteerism throughout Humboldt. In 2017, he was awarded the Humboldt Citizen of the Year at the Humboldt District Chamber of Commerce Awards of Excellence event. In spite of an impressive number of accolades and accomplishments, Malcolm stresses that he was simply lucky to be part of a group of people who were able to come together to make big things happen. As is our theme for convention this year, Malcolm says, and is correct, that we are stronger together. Congratulations on your Scoop Lurie Award, Malcolm. We wish we could be together to celebrate, but know that we are all commending you on this most deserved win.
Way to go, Malcolm. That's great news. Well, now we're going to our Life Membership Award, and here to present that is Mike Strachan, Vice President of Villages, Resort Villages, Northern Communities. Mike?
Thank you, Danny. It's a pleasure to represent the board as we celebrate the latest recipient of the Life Membership Award, Al Heron. For many, Al will be a familiar face. I've had the pleasure of serving with Al on the Municipalities of Saskatchewan Board of Directors for the last 8 years, but he was on the board well before I joined. Al's philosophy has always been, what can I do to help my community? That's what inspired him to get involved in municipal governance and later Municipalities of Saskatchewan. Al first arrived in the community of Eston in 1952. Work took him away from the community, but even when he and his wife Claire moved to BC, he couldn't shake his prairie roots. In 2000, the two moved back to Eston permanently. Not long after moving back, Al was asked to fill a vacancy on town council. In Al's own words, he had time on his hands. Al filled the role of councillor for a term and a half before running for mayor. Al ran 4 times for the position of mayor, each time being acclaimed to the position. As mayor, Al saw the community of Eston grow. One of his proudest projects on council was an upgrade of the water treatment plant in partnership with the town of Kindersley. He is also proud of the community's recreational facilities, which makes sense since Al worked as a sports and recreation consultant with the provincial government and was involved in the Saskatchewan Games, Winter Games, and Western Canadian Games. Al was instrumental in initiating the Eston River Trek, a 40-mile walk to raise money for the community's recreation complex. Over 15 years, the trek raised more than $230,000. In Eston, if there was a fundraiser, Al was more than likely involved. And we're not talking your typical fundraisers. To raise money for a new electrolyte machine for the health center, Al came up with the idea for the Real Men of Eston calendar. We couldn't find the calendar, but somewhere out there is a picture of Al riding an antique snowmobile in only his snow boots and wristwatch. And we really did look for that photo, Al. Whether it's wearing only snow boots and a wristwatch for a fundraiser, or wearing pink to bring awareness to anti-bullying, Al has worked in the best interest of the community. In 2013, Eston became one of the first municipalities to pass an anti-bullying bylaw. The bylaw has been adapted in other municipalities, and it was recognized with a Saskatchewan Municipal Award. Al saw the Municipalities of Saskatchewan Board, SUMA at the time, as another opportunity to help his community in the surrounding areas, as it gave him a direct connection with the provincial decision makers. During his time on the board, Al saw the creation of SumaShare. Launched in 2009, the program was designed to shield subscribers from large rate increases. Al also represented municipalities of Saskatchewan on the Saskatchewan Asset Management Agency. For Al, one of the most important aspects of being on the board is the long-term friendships it fostered. When Eston experienced a storm that severely damaged the community, causing thousands in damage, Al received calls from board members offering help. While Al has retired from municipal politics, I know he will continue to make Eston an even better place to call home. I've been told that as Eston's expert on Dutch elm disease, he'll continue to be called upon when it comes to tree pruning and tree removal. I'm sure as you watch this, Al, you're humbly saying to Claire that you're not sure if you should be the one receiving this award. But I can say, on behalf of the municipalities of Saskatchewan's Board of Directors, that you are most deserving. Your dedication to your hometown and all of Saskatchewan hometowns has inspired us all. Al, it was a pleasure serving with you on Municipalities of Saskatchewan Board of Directors, and it is an honor to recognize you with the Municipality of Saskatchewan Life Membership Award. Congratulations, Al Heron.
I would just like to thank the municipalities of Saskatchewan for honoring me in this way. I feel very humbled by the process. There are many groups that have helped me along the way, and I'd like to just mention their names and go on from there. West Central Municipal Government, which allowed me to be a member of SUMA. My town council, especially them, they allowed me to be able to do things like this. And especially the SUMA board, SUMA Assure Insurance Reciprocal, Saskatchewan Assessment Management Agency, just to name a few. With all those people, I feel very honored for their support and whatnot. Thank you very much to all of you.
Well, congratulations. And now we're going to move on to celebrate some individual achievements. The individuals we're about to recognize have invested time and effort to further their own municipal educations and are making our membership municipalities even better. It's my honor now to recognize those who have completed their Municipal Leadership Development Program, also known as the MLDP, and an individual who has completed Municipal Management Essentials Programming. Congratulations to the following individuals for completing the MLDP program. Melanie Clark from the village of Vanguard. Margaret Andres from the town of Star City. Shiloh Bronken from the town of St. Walburg. Aaron Buckingham from the city of Lloydminster. Barry Elliott from the town of Nipawin. Glenda Hamilton from the town of Leroy. Rennie Harper from the town of Nipawin. And Angela Romanson from the town of Kelleher. And congratulations to Stephanie Hume from the city of Weyburn. She's completed her level 1, 2, and 3 Municipal Management Essentials programming. That's no small undertaking. It's a partnership between municipalities of Saskatchewan, SARM, and Southeast College. The program supplements the MLDP and helps municipalities build their skills of their administrative staff, foremen, and even council. And now I'm going to introduce President Gordon Barnhart. He's going to say a few words to all of those that we have celebrated today. Gordon?
On behalf of Municipalities of Saskatchewan's Board of Directors, congratulations to all of our winners. COVID-19 created new challenges for all of us, And I'm sure we can all agree 2020 was a difficult year. But through the difficulty, we've seen innovation and witnessed outstanding dedication in Saskatchewan's hometowns. Today, we recognize some of those dedicated individuals and innovative communities. All of you have gone the extra mile to strengthen our local governments and better our hometowns. And today's celebration is a way to say thank you. To our Service Award recipients, thank you for all your hard work and the time you've dedicated to making your communities even better places to call home. To our SMA winners, thank you for finding innovative solutions and creative initiatives that are inspiring to all of us. And thank you to our MLDP certificate recipients who invested time and effort to further their own municipal education and are making our member municipalities even better. Thank you and congratulations to you all.
The Saskatchewan Municipal Awards Program is a partnership between the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities, Municipalities of Saskatchewan, the Ministry of Government Relations, and the Rural Municipal Administrators Association, as well as the Urban Municipal Administrators Association of Saskatchewan and the Saskatchewan Association of Northern Communities. In this 14th year of the SMAs, we continue to celebrate the innovation and excellence in Saskatchewan today. This year, the selection committee reviewed 6 nominations on behalf of 19 municipalities. For the 2020 Saskatchewan Municipal Awards, the selection committee was made up of Jim Scarrow, the former mayor of Prince Albert and the former vice president of cities for municipalities of Saskatchewan, Keith Schneider, the former executive director of municipalities of Saskatchewan, Loretta Young, the former administrator of the RM of Long Laketon, as well as the village of Earl Grey, Wendy Gouda, current administrator for the RM of Leroy and past president of the RMAA, Malcolm Eden, the former mayor of Humboldt and the former vice president of cities for municipalities of Saskatchewan, and Don Taylor, a former SARM board member. We appreciate the time and effort these 6 individuals again took to help us celebrate local governments in Saskatchewan. We all know Saskatchewan municipalities are doing excellent work, and we would now like to celebrate those municipalities who are going the extra mile. In the spirit of cooperation and unity, perhaps we should also be looking at these winning projects as inspiration for projects in our own municipalities. I know urban and rural municipalities are doing much in their communities with their neighbors, so I strongly encourage all of our members to submit your projects when nominations open for the 15th round of the SMAs. Now, I'd like to recognize our title sponsor for this year's Saskatchewan Municipal Awards, Affinity Credit Union. We are very pleased to have them on board with the Municipal Awards for the 6th year. Here's a message from our sponsor.
Hello, my name is Jacobo Flota. I'm thrilled to be here today to bring greetings on behalf of Affinity Credit Union and introduce the Saskatchewan Municipal Awards. In the spirit of reconciliation, I'd like to acknowledge that as we are meeting virtually, we are meeting remotely from across Treaty 2, 4, and 6 territories and traditional homelands of the Métis. We pay our respect to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. Our mission at Affinity Credit Union is to build a better world for everyone, every day. The strong communities are the backbone of this commitment, which is why it's great to see so many remarkable leaders joining us virtually today. As a member-owned and values-based financial institution, we help drive the Saskatchewan economy by taking money in from our members through deposits and lending money out to our members so they can buy homes, pay for education, and start businesses. As the cycle of members helping members continues, we are building stronger communities and providing that together, we achieve more. And hasn't that been the theme of 2020? Supporting local is in our blood, and this year has shown us how essential it really is to our communities. As elected officials and municipal employees, each of you share a passion to improve your community. It takes a dedication and hard work, but through your tireless efforts, you are improving the lives of those around you. The commitment you provide is truly admirable, and one of the reasons Affinity supports this event. We love working with like-minded organizations and are proud to have more than 50 municipalities as our members, all of those whom share our goal of making the world a better place. On behalf of Affinity, I would like to offer my sincere congratulations to each of the award nominees, because you all deserve recognition for the work you have put in. I would also like to congratulate the award recipients and the municipalities involved in their achievements. You have done an amazing job leading your municipalities to success, and I know you will continue down that path. These awards are a true indicator of the strength of Saskatchewan communities. Finally, I want to say thank you to all our Affinity Credit Union members. Our members are the reason we are able to support our Saskatchewan communities and events. In a year where it has been more important than ever to support local, thank you for choosing a Saskatchewan-based credit union as your financial institution of choice. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate Affinity's support for these awards. And now, on to the winners. The selection committee chose 2 winning projects this year, as well as a regional cooperation recipient. They are as follows. The second place winner is the 737 Volunteer Fire Department from the RM of Souris Valley and the RM of Lamond. This award is in recognition of the RMs who were facing minimal fire and rescue services for local residents in the case of an emergency. In late 2017, the rural municipalities of Souris Valley and Lamond formed the local 737 Volunteer Fire Department. Let's learn more about their local innovative project.
Before we had the 737 Fire Department, neighbors would all go over and fight the fire in running shoes and a t-shirt.
We were actually affiliated with the Fortuna Fire Department out of North Dakota. Fortuna at that time was going through a labor shortage of people that were able to come and volunteer. So at that point we knew that we pretty well had to do something on our own.
We used to have Weyburn or Mydale or Radville doing our firefighting, and it's not their fault, but their response time was at least a half an hour, 45 minutes.
A lot of the ratepayers didn't see the benefit. They thought that surrounding municipalities were okay, even with the increased response times.
We had cooperation from our fellow councillors and from Souris Valley's councillors.
So it was a joint thing between RM7 and RM37, and that's where our name came from, was forming those two together.
Without the cooperation, it never would have happened.
We've acquired 4 wildland trucks that we use for fighting on the wildland, and we have 2 water tenders.
We actually built a couple of trucks right from scratch, and then we were able to improve on them as time went on.
We kind of pride ourselves that those trucks were designed and built by us. We went to different fire departments, looked at theirs, and we expanded on their ideas and built our own trucks.
All the firefighting now is being done on the back of the trucks, which have been designed and engineered to safely accommodate our firefighters back there.
We built the fire hall basically right in the center. We are 648 square miles that we cover with the 2 municipalities. Tribune was picked as the center, almost dead center, right on 35 Highway. The response time was great.
We get together regularly. We go through the trucks, we go through the radios, we go through procedures, we go through safety.
A large number of our members have put in hundreds of hours of training, whether it be wildland, whether it be in the trucks, through the experts that we brought in for Stars Landing.
I think we're all trained to look out for the safety of each other and the community. And we all have a common goal of getting home safe at the end of the day and protecting our neighbors and the property.
There was a conscious effort to set up the trucks the same. So when a volunteer comes in, they know how to run every truck, no matter what truck they jump in.
Once we have a call from 911, we have P25s, we have two-way radios in all the trucks, but we also use WhatsApp. So the second that it comes from 911, everybody fires up on WhatsApp, and you'll see anywhere from 15 to 20 to 30 people fire up on WhatsApp, and we communicate with that right away.
We see smoke somewhere else that maybe isn't in our RM. We've also gone to 2 other fire departments and gave mutual aid to them.
The rescue services are still being provided by neighboring municipalities. Over time, as we get more and more trained, that is a possibility we could take over some of those services. We now are entering into agreement with 5 counties and 5 rural municipalities along the U.S. border provide mutual aid to each other for fire services.
I can't stress anything more important than the cooperation between the two municipalities and between the ratepayers of each municipality and the volunteer firefighters.
Funding has come 100% from the two RMs that have provided this. We also have had generous donations from the area to help purchase other equipment.
Hope other RMs can get ideas from it and cooperate and set up their own fire departments. We have had 2 or 3 fire departments that have come and toured our hall, asked questions on how we got started, how we got going.
For anybody interested in it, just do it. Just be a part of it.
I've had nothing but really good feedback from our ratepayers when they come in to pay their taxes or come in to pay bills. It's just been really good feedback. They're all very happy with what we've got going on here.
Consider it an honor to serve the community.
Talk to people and people say that's the best thing the RM ever did was get that fire department going. This is amazing.
Fire department's an essential service that every community should have.
A lot of people donate a lot of time, and that's what makes it work.
Cooperation is the biggest thing with this.
Constant communication.
Constant communication, definitely.
More well-equipped to handle any type of situation that our fire department may come into. We're not just grain farmers out there with a barrel and a hose trying to put out fire anymore. We're trained for what we need to do.
I didn't really think this was possible. The biggest lesson I learned is that the people will cooperate if you have a good idea, and don't give up just because the first guy says, nah, it will never work. I would like to thank the SMA committee very much for recognizing us even as a finalist. It's quite a compliment.
It's a great feeling to be recognized, and I understand a lot of it has to do with the fire board and our members, but really it comes down to, this is an award for our community. This is an award for everybody who's been involved from the start.
We appreciate the opportunity to show everybody else what can be done with cooperation and communication.
Thank you on behalf of the Arm Service Valley to the Saskatchewan Municipal Awards for this. I hope that other RMs see the benefit of it and can work together and do something like we've done.
I think it goes a long way to show what can be achieved when you work together, when you communicate, when you get alongside someone else and work towards a common goal.
We'd also like to thank the surrounding fire departments, mainly Mydale and Radville. Their fire chiefs and firefighters were more than an asset for us to be able to come up with this place that we have now, and the facilities and the personnel. They've brought us through in the early stages to know what's important and how to do it.
It's a very big compliment. It's not what we did it for, but we really, really appreciate it.
On behalf of the 737 Fire Board, it's wonderful to be recognized for this, and hopefully, like some of my counterparts said, it'll help other municipalities maybe work together, because it's a great thing.
Congratulations to you all. It's great to see municipalities working together to improve fire services for ratepayers. The first place winner in the Saskatchewan Municipal Awards is the Request for Service app by the City of Moose Jaw. The new Moose Jaw Request for Service app has been providing service to residents since February of 2020. The app automatically records and tracks the request for service by directing the user to the proper department from a menu. This app even keeps the users updated on the progress of their request right through to the resolution of their issue. Let's hear their story.
Previously to the app, the city had an internal request for service app that was mostly used by the engineering department. The city as a whole wasn't on a single system.
Prior to the app coming online, really the only way to get in contact and have that discussion or report of concern was to phone City Hall directly and try to get a hold of somebody to express what it is they were looking for. Trying to get an issue resolved could sometimes take
a long time, or often there was no communication back to residents and they wouldn't know if a situation was resolved. The new customer service could be improved, and our council listened to that, and they passed the motion to approve the app, and then our IT department took it from there.
The Request for Service app is a way for our residents and people in our community to request, break fix, or repair, or make suggestions to the city through their mobile device or through the city website.
It's a portal that our citizens can use to address any concerns they might have around city services or programs.
We consulted all the departments and gathered up all the requests we've received, all the different categories over the last 10 years.
It allows us to respond a lot quicker, and generally the direction that we get or the concerns that are brought forward are a lot clearer too when there's that direct contact with the customers.
We got it in the Apple and the Android store right off the bat. That's where people know to look for apps, so that was very important.
Somebody has a concern, they can take a picture, they can send it in, it goes directly to the departments that handle the issue.
If you got a parking ticket in our city, you can click on pay for a parking ticket.
Anything to do with water or wastewater.
If you're looking to register for swimming lessons or soccer or any other recreation.
Streets and roads concerns, whether it's potholes, snow removal, things like that.
There's a link right on the front to our recreation page. There's information for city council, all our phone numbers are in the app, readily available.
With the app, you get notifications as the ticket is being handled and once it's solved.
If there's an emergency, we can report messages right to the device and have it alert you, and we can even do that by location. So if we find a problem in a certain location, we can alert people in a certain location with the city, all from the same app.
It's a fabulous two-way communication tool. The ability to push out messages to our residents and for them to get notifications if there's a significant change in service or a last-minute road closure.
Already over half of our call volume has transitioned into using the app in the city, so I would say that's a pretty successful launch.
Our residents really were asking for something like this.
We got a few nice notes from our residents saying they appreciated the work we're putting in and they appreciate how easy it is to work with City Hall through the app.
Certainly a council initiative to improve customer service, and I think it was a focus at the city as well, from the city manager down through the directors.
The app is a terrific communications tool for the city of Moose Jaw.
It's always nice to be recognized.
This is a big win, I think, for our citizens, because it is a customer service driven tool that allows us to improve our services.
Too often, cities are looked as dinosaurs when it comes to technology. People use smartphones and technology to interact with private businesses all the time. There's no reason why they can't use that same technology to interact with municipalities, and we're hoping to bring some of that technology and efficiency to the city of Moose Jaw.
We're really thankful to win this award, and we really have to thank our city council for authorizing us to move ahead with the project, and of course then everybody in the administration, city manager and IT department for all the hours of legwork they did, and every single department who was involved. So it's a really thank you to those people within City Hall, but really the biggest thank you is to our residents. Without their feedback and asking for better customer service, maybe we don't take the initiative to get this app going, and I think they've been better for it, and we know for sure we're better for it, and when we can do a better job, then I think, again, our residents are the big winners. So thanks.
Thank you to the Saskatchewan Municipal Award Selection Committee for recognizing the City of Moose Jaw app. Our new app is a notoriously great example of a true community project. Moose Jaw residents were asking for an easier way to communicate with City Hall. Our staff were seeking a more effective way to communicate. Our council recognized the issue and championed the project. From there, our IT department worked with the entire organization to implement a user-friendly app that has greatly enhanced the customer service we provide to our residents. In fact, in only a few short months, we have over 4,000 people that have downloaded the app. We thank council, our administration team, and our residents. This award truly belongs to them.
Congratulations to the City of Moose Jaw for such an innovative project. Our final award is the Regional Cooperation Award, which goes to rural and urban municipalities for their work towards a common goal. This year, it's being awarded to the Regional Rideshare Initiative by a collective 12 municipalities. The winning municipalities are the RMs of Edenwald, Pence, Lumsden, Lejourde, and Bratz Lake, the towns of Balgonie, Grand Coulee, Pilot Butte, Pence, Lumsden, and the villages of Buena Vista and Belle Plaine. This project began when the RM of Edenwald and their neighbors adopted complementary bylaws allowing rideshare companies to operate within each municipality once they had obtained a regional rideshare license. Let's learn more about this regional initiative.
So many small communities across this whole province that are 20, 30 minutes apart from each other.
Lots of people don't have a license or they can't drive. Transportation is important because we're a rural area, right? So you need to have some way of getting to places.
In the town of Grand Coulee, we've had some senior citizens who no longer have a vehicle or aren't able to operate a vehicle, but are still fiercely independent and need to get to appointments.
For the business sector, we really felt it would be valuable to have a ride share available so that the staff and the workforce can move within the different communities.
The arm of Edenwald reached out to me with a phone call and said, we've got this crazy regional cooperation idea, and there was no hesitation for me. I said, absolutely.
When the ride shares started rumbling in the city of Regina, the first concept that I thought of was, wouldn't it be great if we could sort of piggyback on the city of Regina?
That issue had come up a few times over the last probably 2 years, and we didn't realize how complicated it was going to be to bring it to the RM.
It just couldn't come to fruition. It kind of seemed like the city had already completed their process of developing the licensing process and getting rideshare up and running. Then it was the idea that we could establish this ourselves, develop it from the ground up.
The arm of Edenwald really took the wheel on this, and they made it pretty easy for everybody to apply with them for the bylaw.
The Regional Rideshare Initiative was an initiative that was started about 1.5 years ago now by a group of municipalities. We realized that working on rideshare individually wasn't going to give us the same success as it would if we worked together as a whole region.
It's an initiative that really looks at providing accessible, affordable transportation.
Instead of Uber, for example, having to apply to 14 different municipalities, they apply to one municipality, and that license allows them to operate and serve residents all across the area.
The way the provincial legislation works is that it legislates the origin of the trip, not the destination. So the municipalities that are participating, they can have rideshare trips initiate in their municipalities, and then they can go anywhere else.
My council is really quite a forward, progressive thinking council, so I think they saw the advantages of being involved in this, and it was a pretty easy decision for us.
The alternative to this would have been 11 municipalities create 11 different bylaws and 11 different licensing programs, and a rideshare company has to complete 11 licenses. As one group and one unit, you get one license. Okay, now we have a chance of attracting some business to our area.
This is unprecedented.
We've worked together with the RM of Lumsden for 26 years. We're kind of one of the pioneers in regional cooperation. So working with the rest of the group has been very easy.
As people have come to the table, sometimes they've presented us with other ideas and little options, and we can still move forward and make amendments to the bylaw, so we can still add other municipalities and we can still shift a few little things if needed. There is a possibility that we can grow and expand our network to include First Nations communities as well, which I think would be wonderful.
Really, I think we can all help each other out by partnering on a lot of different projects, and this is just one that kind of fell into place, right time, right place.
It's such a huge project to undertake on our own, so the idea of coming together and doing it collaboratively is just a huge benefit.
We had all these different municipalities working together to provide a new service for their residents, and cooperation is, I think, really at the heart of what made this project so successful.
It's very easy to use. Our seniors will be able to use it. If you want to go out and have a good time, you have a safe ride home.
There was a common goal among everyone who's joined the partnership for the initiative, and that was to see rideshare come to fruition in our areas for the benefit of our citizens and our businesses.
I know people in the RM of Lumsden are very excited to have this. I know I personally am too.
What we've realized from this is that we do share common goals, and sometimes the way of making something the most effective is not to do it on your own, but rather to do it as a group.
I look forward to the day I get to call Uber to, chauffeur me about.
On behalf of myself and my fellow staff at the RM of Lumsden, I'd like to say a big thank you to the Saskatchewan Municipal Awards for this recognition.
I'd like to thank the Municipal Awards for recognizing this project. It was a very worthwhile one, and we appreciate it.
It's wonderful to be recognized from the town of Pilot Butte. We thank you.
And it's great that the Municipal Awards recognize initiatives like this.
On behalf of the council of the town of Grand Coulee, I just graciously accept the honor of getting this Regional Cooperation Award. I think it speaks volumes to what we can do as a team.
Thank you so very much for providing this award to the RM of Edenwald and all of our partners on the rideshare initiative. We really, really value and appreciate an award that recognizes regional cooperation. The recognition from this award is very meaningful to both staff and to council of the RM of Edenwald, as well as all of our partners in this initiative.
Congratulations to all the participating municipalities. It's wonderful to see such interesting and innovative things going on around Saskatchewan. And the SMAs are a great way to celebrate these initiatives with municipalities from across the province. I'd also like to congratulate everyone who submitted a nomination this year. Keep up the great work. You can visit the Saskatchewan Municipal Awards website at www.municipalawards.ca to learn more about the program or to get more details about the winning projects from this year or previous years. I'd also suggest that everyone start prepping their nominations for next year's awards. Thank you to everyone for celebrating with us, and congratulations to this year's winners.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today to celebrate a group of hardworking people dedicated to building strong communities across Saskatchewan. I'm Don McMorris, and I am the Minister of Government Relations and the Minister responsible for First Nation, Métis, and Northern Affairs. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land that I am standing on today is Treaty 4 territory and home of the Métis. And I'd like to thank the Saskatchewan Urban Municipalities Association for inviting me to share this message with all of you today. It's a pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of Premier Scott Moe and the Government of Saskatchewan. It's also a pleasure to honor the recipients of this year's Saskatchewan Municipal Awards and Municipalities of Saskatchewan Service Awards. From the innovative practices of municipalities to the dedicated long service of elected officials and municipal employees, the winners of this year's awards have gone above and beyond to serve the citizens of their communities. We truly are celebrating excellence today, and that excellence demonstrated in the work of today's award recipients has played a key role in ensuring Saskatchewan families continue to receive the support they need as we face the challenges of COVID-19. I have been and continue to be inspired by Saskatchewan municipalities, their employees, and elected officials as they have remained steadfast in their commitment to serve the people of this great province. Because of this work, your work, our province remains strong, our communities remain strong, and our families remain strong. And because of your work, they will continue to remain strong today, tomorrow, and for years to come. So I'd like to give a heartfelt congratulations to all this year's award recipients, and I'd like to thank each and every one of them for their work and for the service to the people of Saskatchewan. Together, we will keep Saskatchewan strong. Once again, congratulations to all the recipients this year, and I wish you all the best in 2021. Thank you.
Well, now it is prize time, and we've been waiting for this moment. Our good friends at BCL are sponsoring 4 fabulous prizes that we'll give away to those of you who attended our marketplace, had a chance to visit with at least 5 exhibitors, and hear from BCL, my buddy Lawrence Lukey, who's been standing by patiently here this morning waiting to help me give the gifts away.